Roland, what is going on, Blue Crew? Hope you're having a great day. Hope you had a great Memorial Day. Did you have a great Memorial Day,
I
Troy?
did. Man, I'm looking at the camera, too. It looks like I got a sunburn or something, but I don't think I did.
No, that's
the lighting.
You just need a haircut.
I know. I want to try to make it to the barber tomorrow. So.
Well, guys, we got a very, very, very special Blue Crew Live for you guys today. And we have with us here a 30-plus year law enforcement veteran, a former state trooper, the executive director of Texas Police Association.
Yep.
That's correct.
And then the founder of Texas True Blue Coffee Company.
Awesome.
You're a busy guy.
I am. And so, I enjoy what I do. It's always having a mission of doing something good above ourselves. So
Love it.
I think that's important,
Right on.
Troy, where did you find someone of this caliber to come and actually sit down with us? Like, where did you hear?
Was it a last minute thing? This kind of thing? No, just kidding.
No, it's it's just network, and everybody knows everybody, and someone knows somebody. Some friends of mine, we were talking and so forth, and he actually brought me some coffee, and one thing led to another, and now you're here today.
And see, that's my love language, is coffee.
I knew that was that's gonna be something really, really important. Just besides that, this has always been a mission for me to find a way, something sustainable, and so I figured coffee is sustainable.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it here in a little while.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. I actually want everybody to see the coffee, the not just the process, the coffee he's making and so forth, but the mission behind it is just so incredible. So, but will you do us a favor and just kind of expand a little bit on your background? I mean, there's so much. When I was looking at his bio, I was like, man, I got to take a break halfway through. I mean, I was exhausted.
Wait.
Well,
Hold on. Did I introduce your name?
No. So this is mystery person here.
So ladies and gentlemen, Blue Crew, this is Erwin. You want to say Vallarta?
Vallarta, whatever.
But he's like, well, we're in Texas. This is Erwin Ballarta.
Where's that name come from?
Well, I'm gonna let you know. Erwin is a German first name, and Ballarta or Ballarta is a Spanish last name. I grew up in the Philippines. I was born in the Philippines. I look Chinese, but like anything else, I'm gonna let you know I'm a proud American. My family is proud Americans and patriots. So I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, you were saying you got one son that is in the military.
Yes, he's a West Point grad. He's still serve us still. He's involved with the AFRICOM group, and he's a major. He graduated from West Point. I'm amazed at 17 he went in speaking Russian. Of course, we're Filipino. He learned that at Pflugerville High School, and then from there he learned how to speak, read, and write Chinese. He's a computer engineer, and he just completed his second master's, so we're really proud of him.
Wow.
And then you have another son.
And then the other son, he's he's a little bit kind of, no, I'm just kidding.
Dad didn't mean that if you're watching.
No, actually, I'm very proud of him. He's an entrepreneur. So a friend of mine, along with my son and a third person, launched a company called Life Proof Cases. And I like what the focus was.
Wait, life proof, like cell phone case?
Yeah, the cell phone cases that you have, waterproof, shockproof, life proof. Buy life proof cases. So
that's actually incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
at 23 he did that. 26 they sold it. So
okay, how long ago was it then they sold it?
Well, he's 34 now, so
okay,
it's been a while. But he's a venture capitalist here now in Austin, doing wonderful things. He's even doing 3D printing for homeless people. They're doing that in third world countries and even in Austin, those kind of things. And he's even into drone management, wonderful things, to help people. And
proud dad.
Hey, but number one thing though is that whenever I like the fact that when he generated money from that. He paid off all his loans, college loan, which is great, right? So,
Yeah.
but one thing that he did, he was going to buy a car. Imagine, you did well, so now you're going to market buying a car. Instead, he marked his accomplishment by starting a scholarship fund for homeless children instead. So it's
Wow.
So that really touched me. He said,
absolutely.
So he goes, and when he told me, he goes, money is only important. It's only good if you use it to do good.
Yeah.
And
You gotta leave a legacy.
That's a mission.
I love that.
Yeah.
Something, and we talk about that a lot. Leaving a legacy. It's something that outlives you for generations to come.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Right
awesome.
Right on. So, 30 plus years, you've been in and around law enforcement. Expand on that a little bit more for us, will you?
I started my career in Big Spring PD. I enjoyed wonderful town. Spring was kind of small. It's not as big as I thought. But wonderful people. I'm going to tell you, West Texas people are so kind and warm. I would never have wanted to leave it. But I had an opportunity to come down to Austin to guard our governor. And so I was down here to guard Governor Richards. And then after that, I ended up guarding also Governor Bush and helping with the presidential campaign. And then I ended up also at the training academy, in which I was in charge of the defensive tactics program. I was in charge of recruit school training. I was in charge of motorcycle bureau for the entire state of Texas at the same time. So what it did for me is learning how to manage not just the project, but people in a good way, learning how to lead in a good way. And I think that's what's important, empowering your people to accomplish the goals that we can, that we set forth together. So,
and this is an interesting question I kind of want to ask you because, being in a group like ours, right, with law enforcement and, our moderators, we talk about this a lot. As leaders, we're always trying to sift through all the dirt and find the gold in people. We're always trying to find that common ground. But doing the job that you did, knowing that there's people from different backgrounds, different lenses, different views, politically, how did you navigate kind of those uncharted waters to be as effective as you were?
Well, I believe all the people that I work with, they know my mission. They know my mission is law enforcement. So law enforcement actually equates to safe communities. Safe communities means economic development for that community. Economic development for that community is a prosperous Texas. So I mean, can you see that growing like that? So, so safe communities, and my goal at the time I'm visualizing this is that imagine a safe Texas for all, because if we don't keep, said, hey, that's a bad part of town, we're not going to go there. This is a good part of town. We're going to give them all the law enforcement they need. No, to me, there's no equity in reference to that.
Yeah.
We need to do that for everyone. And we need to keep all Texans safe. And we need to help develop that community as well. All the communities in Texas, we need to do that.
So it's always keeping your values and the mission statement of you, like your life, keeping that always front and center and keeping that the focus and almost kind of having blinders on that so that it allows you to be able to have influence and allows you to not look at the differences, but find the common ground so that you can move forward.
Well, here's the key thing, Jamie. It's like, it's not about me. I'm going to make that perfectly straight right now. It's not about me. So I'm going to let you know, early in life, I was always trying to find the purpose of life. And when you say you focus on yourself only, what happens is that it dies with you.
Wow.
And I remember reading a book when I was researching Martin Luther during the Reformation. And I was praying to God, tell me what the purpose of life is. And I was counseling emotionally disturbed children at the time. I was a social worker before I became a law enforcement officer. But what happened was I felt God answered my question. What is the purpose of life? When I opened that one book, out of so many books that I had researching Martin Luther, it actually said the purpose of life is, I mean, it could not be more plain. It's not living for yourself, but living for others. But when you focus on living for others and making your community safe and good in helping others who are weak, who are downtrodden, protecting those families. That's important. And then also when you take care of the widows and orphans, that's also
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
We and there's more that he's doing too, by the way. That's not just it. There's so much more. But I was just going to make the comment that our country is full of men and women that are wearing a badge today that are doing that job because of that very reason.
Yeah.
They love their community. They love people. They want to make a difference. And they want to be there to help those that can't help themselves,
Exactly.
And I just want to echo that because, man, our men and women, they deserve it, man. They need to hear that we are grateful. And if you're wearing the badge out there today and you're listening to us, again, I just want to say thank you. We appreciate each and every one of you, the sacrifice that you're making, the things that you're doing, the family that you're leaving behind so you can go protect the others. We really do appreciate you.
Yeah.
So currently, you didn't just retire and step away from law enforcement. You're just as entrenched today, from the sound of it, as you have been in the previous 30-some years before retirement. So you're the director of the Texas Police Association.
Executive director.
It makes me sound so important, but it's not. But it's another servant leadership role.
Come on.
I think
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah.
100%.
So, TPA, or Texas Police Association, has been around since 1895. In the early days, a bunch of men and women got together and saying, hey, you know what? We want professionalism in law enforcement. And how can we do this?
Mm-hmm.
And so they had this vision of professionalism in law enforcement in 1895. Imagine 1895. If you look at that, we just finished the Civil War. We had the Reconstructionist period and all that. So there was a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And so big things are happening. 1895. But through TPA, we also wrote the statute that created DPS, or Texas Department of Public Safety. And through TPA, or Texas Police Association, we wrote the statute that created TCLOS. At the time, not TCOL, but TCLOS, Texas Commission on Law Enforcement Standards and Education. And so we wanted to create a standard, but we wanted to also give the ability to get educated.
Mm.
It's so important now to find that education part, especially with limited budget. We need to go back to that.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about some of those issues here in a little bit. But I just want to mention one more thing. We kind of hinted to it a little bit ago. One more thing that he's doing, and that is you started a nonprofit. You started the coffee roasting business. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why you did it?
Okay, so I don't know. I mean, like in 2018, 2019, all this rioting going on. Officers even wanted to go have coffee at Starbucks are getting, denied service. People were writing, obscene things on their cup, bad things.
Yeah.
That's
the very reason I refuse to darken the doors of Starbucks.
Oh, I'm never going to go there. Only Texas True Blue. But
There you go. I just glad you got
what a cheap plug, right? But anyway. But that's the reason why I started this. And I'm going, you know what? I'm going to start a coffee company. But I'm going, I don't know anything about coffee companies. I don't know about coffee. But I like coffee. So I contacted a friend of mine, Linda Ryan. She was a spokesperson for the Agriculture Commission at the time. She had her own coffee company. She had her own vineyard. She was involved in a lot of things. And so she introduced me to different people that imports coffee beans. So we had taste testing. We tasted things. And I'm going, oh, yeah, I don't like that. Oh, I like that. So we know which beans I liked, which ones I didn't like. And at some point, somebody told me, goes, the bitter it is, that's kind of like a good thing. I'm going, I don't like that, actually. I want something smooth, I can enjoy, tasteful, and I don't like that bitter taste. So we, through our it takes me about 6 months just to get one SKU.
Wow.
And so testing, getting it the right way. And then I found a roaster here, actually, in Brenham. And so I said, hey, we'll go with that. So they, went to tasting, testing, and said, I like this taste, and I like this taste. So we got to doing that, and I started with only 2 SKUs, which is the Patrol Strong and 10-8. And I didn't tell my wife at the time I used my credit card
Uh-oh.
to launch the company. But in my mind, I said, hey, I can make it up. So, but she's okay now. But because it's a good cause, it is a good cause. Now it's just one of those things that, I think, people can drink coffee. It's something sustainable. I think that's a good thing. But the reason coffee, I saw one of our troopers. He was shot, Trooper Moises Sanchez, and eventually he passed away. But we did a lot of fundraising event selling hats and shirts. I mean, it's a wonderful thing that everybody got together to do that. But then I keep saying to myself, does this mean every time an officer gets shot or injured that we have to raise money for them on a regular basis? I just want something more sustainable going in the future. Mm-hmm. And if this is something, so this is my mission, is to create something sustainable. We're not on this earth, you're only here for a little bit.
We're here temporary.
We're only helping out, But I want to create this thing, convert it so that there's a revenue, that's a trust that will continue to do this good things moving forward.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like one of our focuses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's one of the things that we know that a lot of people, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of people watching that don't know this, but whenever an officer is injured in the line of duty and can't work, there's no real benefits. Right? The benefits are a joke.
Yeah.
And and of course on the other side of it, when an officer is killed in the line of duty, it's always unfortunate. But the reality is, there's plenty of life insurance. There's a lot of organizations that give specifically. I mean, they wind up walking away. The families wind up financially, emotionally. There's some stuff. Financially, they wind up walking away with, in many cases, several millions of dollars. But whenever you're wounded in the line of duty and can't work, it's hard.
That's correct. Just getting into this, I'm learning that that's one of the biggest needs, is to help the officers that are injured and have a lifelong, injury that they can't do anything anymore. So we need to make sure we support that. But also another thing is that I found out we had 2 officers that were ambushed and killed in McAllen, and so I apologize, as I don't remember which one that was in need, but one of the wives were saying the benefits didn't come to them right away. It still hasn't arrived when I went down there.
Wow. And
the reason why is the process for the death benefit was not processed right. So people challenged it, here in Austin. And I'm thinking and said, along with this, there should be an omnibus. Somebody maybe at the AG's office or the governor's office that would say, let's fix that. Let's get that thing fixed, the death benefit fixed that day, so we can process that. But, I think there are some cracks that these things fall through. And I think if we can just get that fixed, I think that'll be a good thing. But on the other end, it was nice that I contacted the PD and said, hey, we want to give some money through the Texas Police Association, Texas True Blue. So what happened is that Texas True Blue is a for-profit, but I donate the money to Texas Police Association so they can execute it and get it going. So we wrote the money for that. We raised funds for that, and so what happened was they were able to. So they asked, "What do we need to apply for this?" I just need the name, and so I wrote the check right away, and that was it. So
wow,
it was nice. It teared me because, you look at that, because those officers were the kind of guys that I would have enjoyed having coffee with, hanging around with. And, they're your brothers or sisters.
You actually send out a card with every order of coffee, correct?
Yeah.
And that's something that you actually say on there. They put themselves between us and evil that wants to do us harm. These officers are among us. They are our neighbors. youth soccer coaches, volunteers at church, scoutmasters, a son, a daughter, a mother, a father, and the loving parent and spouse. You know, these guys are our community.
Yeah.
When we see them, we can recognize them, we notice them because they got a uniform on typically. Or they're driving a police car or something like that.
Yeah.
But it goes so much further than that.
Yeah.
Of who they really are, you know?
You have to humanize that. And so a friend of mine, her name is Enonge Kabeli, and she's of African descent. And her family were the ones who actually helped establish Houston Tillerson College in Austin. And she told me, she goes, you know, Erwin, when you mentioned that, it reminds me of our culture in Africa. I said, what do you mean? He says, it means that I am, there's a thing called umbuto. It means I am because we are. It doesn't separate you. You know, it's like Filipino lives matter more than your lives matter, or Black lives, or blue lives, or Asian lives, or whatever matters more than others. Because I am, because we are, means we all matter.
Come on.
And you know, it's a God thing. God created us all. What difference? You know, it's our soul. You know, and so, you know, and even Martin Luther, you know, emphasized that. Martin Luther King saying, you know, don't judge me by the color of my skin, but the content of my character. Character. And so when people come in and divide us, that's a wrong thing. Of course, that's what's going to happen to the community. They'll divide us. But here, actual African culture that says, Umbuto, I am because we are, is so important, which means all these officers are your, you know, they volunteer in church, they're a soccer coach, they're part of your community, they're a mother, a father, a daughter, you know, said, if my daughter or my granddaughter goes into law enforcement, you know, I'd be honored, but the thing is, I'd be fearful, you know.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if the community, if I knew that the community understood that, you know. It's unfortunate that we're encountering, we need to understand them as being part of our community, because as they're not just officers, they're human beings that actually suffers. You know, we're having a lot of pain going on, family pain. We're having officers with stress, you know, overworked because there's not enough officers out there. They have to take the protecting the city.
Well, it's overworked and underpaid.
Overworked, underpaid, lack of training, ambiguity in command. If you have ambiguity, you don't know what you stood for or who's standing for you. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. And so we have, you know, officers, you know, committing suicide. That's not a good thing. You know, going through stress, and, you know, we pray for them all. I mean, this is not something, you know, we take lightly, but we got to do something. You know, when they have family problems, we got to do something. You know, we can't leave them behind because they're part of our family. Yeah. We need to be a bigger family for them.
Mm-hmm. You know, it took a long time, and it's only been in a matter of however many dozen years, but a couple dozen years, whatever it is, but that the society has really recognized the impact that battle and so forth has had on our military. Okay, the trauma, etc. And, you know, as a society, on one degree, we've really stepped it up. Now, there's much more I believe that we need to be doing, but we've really stepped it up compared to where it used to be. And I bring that up because it's the same scenario with our men and women in blue. I mean, these guys and gals are facing death every day. Not only people trying to shoot them, trying to kill them, but they're looking at it straight in the eyes every day on car accidents, on suicide calls, on this, on that. I mean, every day they're responding to these calls.
That's correct.
And I mean, that is so traumatic. So traumatic.
Well, and I feel like one of the things, like, in society, there's a stigma that is attached to men who are vulnerable. And so that makes, you know, and I'm sure, and women too, but men specifically, there's the whole idea of, I don't want to be labeled a wuss or a sissy. I don't want people, I'm a manly man. And a lot of that goes, I can remember growing up, you better quit that crime, boy. I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a big part of how I was raised.
A lot of men hold it in.
Yeah. And so you're taught, real men don't cry. Real men don't show their emotion. Real men, they're hard. They're unapproachable almost. They don't teach be unapproachable, but that's just the result.
Yeah.
But then also, to what you were talking about too, and what we're all talking about is because of that stigma, we hold it in. And it's like it's like life has shaken you up so much, and it's like a bottle of soda. You shake it up enough. Sure, that exterior might be strong enough to hold in that pressure for a while, but you shake it up enough, that bottle's going to explode.
That's exactly it. And with this, also, I believe, with the restrictions we have for COVID, a lot of the displacement of tension and whatever, displacement of all these things, we don't have the opportunity to work out, opportunity to run, go out there because we're confined to the home. Imagine that. Lifestyles, then all of a sudden, just eating, and so on. So, all of that I think plays into this, and then all build up. There's no place to get it out there. And then I believe it's also that feeling of hope, but on the other end, I think that it gives us more time to really appreciate what God has lined up for us, saying it's the truth. It said, hey, now we really understand what's really important,
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we started the show, we were actually talking, and I just want to bring up something we were talking about then, and that is that these traumas and the things that are going on every day with these men and women in blue don't just affect them. It affects everybody else around them. It affects their families. It affects their kids. And that was one of the points that you'd brought up. It's not actually out there in the news a whole lot. It's not, presented a whole lot, but it's incredible how many LEO kids are even committing suicide.
That's correct. In fact, I even had a person call me saying, hey, Erwin, there's a bill out there right now, and I don't know if it passed or not. What it is that if a child of an officer is bullied, that he can move from one school district to a different one, so that they don't know that his father is a police officer. Imagine that the child is being bullied because a parent is a police officer, and how that is so bad. From that standpoint. I can handle that as an adult, but if I had a granddaughter, a grandson, or my sons were bullied like that just because of my profession, that is not good. And in fact, that kind of culture, we need to nip that.
It's
because
such a 180 from how it used to.
but the thing is, it's okay. You think that's okay, or I guess you'd excuse it if it was just a child on a child, but when you have a teacher, or somebody of leadership doesn't care about that or even promotes that, that's not a good thing.
No. Yeah.
Just because the way even you vote or whatever it is, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
No. Troy and I have talked about this. We don't really have an education system. We have an indoctrination system.
Oh.
And it's anyways, I don't want to get off on that, but the whole
say it, man. Say it.
It's just. I just
No,
remember.
I agree with you.
I remember being in high school. We just. And I went through school back during the era of like whenever we had real rap or real gangster rap, where you had Ice Cube saying "F the police" and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But still, even with all that, coming through, you had Tupac, Biggie, and all that stuff. When I was going through high school, there was no real anti-police sentiment. It was, if my dad's a captain with the Houston Fire Department.
Oh, wow.
Right. So if anything, he was honored. The police, our campus police, was honored. As a matter of fact, like they were cool with everybody. It's like you just hanging out. They're out there kind of doing their security thing as people are going from class. You just go, lean up against the lockers and talk to them, chat with them. They were just super cool. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of wild to see this 180 that's kind of happened. Yeah. Where now, if you're a child of a Leo or law enforcement officer, then you're being bullied. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, and you went to school, in a time that this was probably true for you as well as you did as well. I would be afraid.
He's calling us old.
I would be afraid.
I'm older, I think.
Well, I would be afraid. I would be afraid to bully the son or a daughter of a police officer if I was in school. I'd be like, I'm not going to do that. So it shocks me.
But the relationship before, I think, was looking back, I think was more positive. Like for me, I grew up in Detroit. And I actually immigrated from the Philippines to Canada, and then from Canada to Detroit. My father accepted a job with Chrysler at the time. And I remember, this was after the 1967 Detroit race riot. Think about that.
Wow.
Yeah. So we immigrated there into Detroit. And so I remember, Filipino, I don't know what baseball is. I don't know any sports. I learned how to play skate, play ice hockey. And then I watched these people during the summer months. They're throwing this ball around, catching glove, with the glove. And this guy said, "Come on in." And so he started showing me how to put on a glove. And then he said, "You go to the outfield and you just grab the ball and throw it back," So, and it turned out it was the police athletic league, PAL, from Detroit.
Wow.
The coaches were police officers helping inner city children.
That's so good.
What impact did that have on me?
No.
Now I am on this end. Now it's my turn to give back.
Come on. That's so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it looks like and it looks like you got to Texas as soon as you could.
That's exactly correct. I love Michigan. I love Detroit. Yeah. But I love Texas. So I was telling you, people have such warm hearts.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I was in Stanton. I was in Big Spring. Then my other duty station when I was a highway patrolman, I was in Stanton, Martin County. So we did Martin County, Reagan County, Glasscock County. 2 cars, 3 counties, the size of maybe 3 New Hampshires, something like that on our own. So we monitored that. But what happened was there's a sign there that says 3,000 friendly people in a few old soreheads. And I think the troopers were the soreheads. But the people loved us.
Yeah.
The people loved us. And so it was different, So
let me just say this, also, we live in Texas. So we really love Texas. Oh yeah, if you can't tell, and with Erwin being in law enforcement here so long, we are using a lot of examples in Texas. But I just want to say, I love this country, and I've been able to travel 46 of 50 states, and I haven't been in a state I haven't liked yet. I've found amazing people all across this country. I just think we live in the greatest country in the world. I really do. For sure. So much opportunity, so many amazing people. Do we have our struggles? Yes. But with struggles brings opportunity. So how are we going to respond to those struggles and so forth? But for all of you that aren't living in Texas, this is my point. We love you. In
fact, I have a lot of friends that are in law enforcement in many of the states, even the ones that are connecting with me through the Texas True Blue sites. They're coming in from California. Can you believe California? Oklahoma, Washington State. They'll come in from New Jersey, New York, and saying, we support you. And then I look back what they're going through and said, we support you. Yeah. And we're praying for you too. People from Florida. I mean, we're at a constant battle, maybe not physically, but some places physically, but we're in constant battle for the messaging. Mm-hmm. The messaging, because if we do not have a counter message for what the bad guys or other people that are wanting to defund law enforcement, and they say all these things that are actually negative and actually lies about law enforcement, then their message becomes true. But we know better. But we cannot be silent anymore. We need to speak up and talk about the things that are good about law enforcement in your community. And I believe that we need to have a more counter message. Law enforcement want to be involved with community. The community wants to be involved with law enforcement.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. There's got to be a way that we can connect that together.
Well, and we talk about it on here quite a bit. We're always presenting little things and so forth. But I believe that we need everybody on board. Okay. We can't be silent anymore, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But there's something that everybody can do. Sometimes we give the different ideas and so forth of what people can do right there in their community. No matter how big or how small it is, it might be just passing a "I appreciate you" note, to their law enforcement officers in the neighborhood or down at their local precinct, whatever. It might be sending a box of pizza down there. It might be whatever the case may be. It might be buying a bag of coffee from you. So you can support, on your side of things that you're doing. There's so many opportunities, but we have to be active in those and so forth. And that kind of leads me to one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and just get your input for all of us, with your experience and everything. How would you answer the question? What do we need to do in order to see things like they were even 10 years ago, or even better than that? How we can see honor and respect back in our society again, not just for law enforcement, but one another, and so forth. But what's your recommendation for us as individuals, but also as a country? What needs to happen?
Well, I'm going to tell you, that's
it is. It's huge.
Thing, but I'm going to tell you what it is, or at least my viewpoint is that we have to take an asymmetrical approach to doing this, because like my son who was in the military and fighting ISIS, they had to have an asymmetrical approach. So they had the fighting crime, targeting the ISIS. Then they had the messaging part. We had to do the same thing. I believe the only part is that the bad guys, or whoever the opposition is minimizing our ability to get that information out there to the general public, what we are. But we have to have, the biggest thing is the counter message. And so in the military, when they did that, they actually had to create counter messages there in overseas to fight ISIS, because ISIS was really good with Instagram. They were really good with Twitter and so on. And they didn't ban them. I'm just saying, I think they only banned one person. I'm sorry. I'm going on a tangent, but that's true, though.
No, I mean,
but that's
come
true,
on
though.
with it, because this is something we know. Several other pro law enforcement communities like ours that have been shut down.
Well, I'm going to tell you, one I knew I wanted to do is that, how it is starting a business. It's hard to generate revenue right away. Just first getting to know who you are, getting to buy the product, and then you got to make so many projects. You got to have to sell so many of the products just to, make that, and then you use that profit to buy more products to sell it, and you don't really generate that. But what I knew is that I could use this as a fundraising tool, and so what we did is we did use it as a fundraising tool. We created that, and I called a bunch of my friends. Can you match it? And they matched it. But we send it through the Texas Police Association because it's a nonprofit. And Texas Police Association has the same mission as I do. So I don't care if we do this, get it through the Texas Police Association, let's do the same thing. And so in the first 6 months, Moises Sanchez, his wife, was telling me a story about him and her would look at eBay through eBay for things on sale, used gloves, used bats, used balls that they could use for the Boys and Girls Club that he coached for 5 years until he was murdered. And so he didn't have much money, so he used his credit card to float it. So imagine that. And so I was touched with that. So one of the things I wanted to do, they're putting signs up there because the wives or the family always want their loved ones to be remembered. One thing is to have a sign. My vision is that in addition to the sign, that we need to have a youth leadership program, focus on character building program, for our youth.
Come on.
And so naming that officer as an example of certain characters. And so, by the way, the Boys and Girls Club there in McAllen has a youth program. And so I said, we're going to fund this in the name of Trooper Moises Sanchez. I wanted just to give a check, but on his anniversary of his death, they had this thing and said, hey, would you give it at the time? So we gave a $5,000 check to the Boys and Girls Club to get that program going.
Wow, that's so good. That's
Within
so
6
awesome.
months. So we wanted to make sure, said, hey, let's keep going. And so now all the officers that we're seeing, we have now money to get, there's a gap whenever somebody passes away or gets injured, we're able to give money.
Awesome.
So
And what I love about that, and just tying this back into messaging, is a lot of times we think that messaging is just spoken or it's words, right? But messaging is also actions and then framing, right? And that's one of the things. I mean, we have meetings about this very thing, and we have moderator huddles talking about this very thing as well. Is, you know, we have to be strategic. We have to learn how to communicate, how to fly under Big Brother's radar, which requires being strategic. We can't get triggered and just say, well, I'm just going to tell it like it is. Well, and you're going to get booted. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So we have to learn how to communicate, how to combine all of these things, how to be strategic, fly under the radar to be able to reach. Because I fully believe, you know, and there's been a lot of people that they've left Facebook. They've left Twitter. They left all of the main, and they've gone to the other alternate platforms. The problem is that just becomes an echo chamber.
yeah,
And this is our mission field. This is where the harvest is. These are where the bridges are built.
that's exactly correct. You know, so when we gave that check, there's a picture of me giving, it's a big check, to Boys and Girls Club. The family was there, and I posted it. And then I wanted to use it as part of my advertisement. You know, this is what we're doing. And that was, Facebook actually banned that picture. So
That's crazy.
So
That is utterly insane.
So I'm thinking, I said, because it's offensive. And then so I messaged it to all different parts of other social media. It goes, I can't believe it. So I actually did a screenshot of the, you know, said, what, you know, this is like, you know, why you're in jail, you know, Facebook jail. And I'm going, oh, how can I, this is the first time, how can I be this offensive, you know? And so ironically, well, not ironically, but at least somebody in my Facebook realm said, hey, Erwin, I work for Facebook. Let me check on it.
Wow.
Yeah. That evening, it goes, oh, it was a mistake.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize that they have automated systems
Yeah.
that trigger that will actually trigger, and then we just assume, oh, Facebook did this.
Yeah.
It's not always a conspiracy, you know, and a lot of people think that it is, and sometimes it is. But that's awesome that you had somebody that was able to look into that and then manually.
and it's nice. They reached out to me and goes, hey, Erwin, I'll check on it. And within a couple hours, it was back up. But, you know.
Come on, so good.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
Well, Erwin, I want to be respectful of your time and everything, but you know, is there anything that again, you got hundreds of some thousand people out here that have opportunity to watch this or are watching, you know, across the country and then beyond that, actually. But what would you say to them if you can leave them with whatever nugget or two, you know, just from our discussions or from your life experience? You know, what do you want to leave them?
Well, okay. So, like I was telling these guys, it's not about me. It's about what we can do to make Texas better, or actually make the United States better. We're only on this earth for a short while, and like I was telling you earlier, you know, with me researching, with reading about Martin Luther, Reformation, all that. The purpose of life is not living for yourself, but living for others. So, I challenge you to look into your community to see outside of yourself and your family, and to reach out to your law enforcement agencies and support them in any way. But I also encourage you to look at, we have a 501c3 Texas Police Association. It's been around since 1895. I found out, I just went down to South Texas, and, you know, they're wanting to have training. They're wanting to do certain things. But with the economic downfall, they don't have the budget for even training.
Yeah.
And so we are going down there.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Police Association is going down there. And what we'd like to do is somehow get some sponsorships for some of those, if that's something that, looking down. Now,
Yeah.
again, it's a 501c3. Part of that, and I hate to say it's a sponsorship thing, but I think it's investment in our law enforcement. We're
Yeah.
willing to go down there. Actually, I'm not going to talk this about much. I hate to talk about it, but I deferred even on, getting even paid. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not about that. It's about doing something good. So, and even with Texas True Blue, I mean, I'm not even taking a penny of it right now. Somewhere down the line, eventually, I'll just want to make sure it's solvent. The idea keeps going, and I want to scale it. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so we want to benefit training, fallen officer spouses, and also youth character programs. So, I just encourage anybody to maybe check that out.
Yeah, I'm going to. So that is actually one of the things that Bridge to Blue, the heart behind the organization, is to do that as well. We want to help sponsor training and equipment for departments that can't afford it. And I truly believe, I know Lee and the rest of the team, we all truly believe.
See, he remembered, but you can't.
That lead Jameson.
that we believe that we need to go in the opposite. You might say the opposite spirit, and instead of defunding these guys, at the same time as it's being yelled at to get more training, etc. We need to fund them better, more and better than ever before.
Can I say something on that?
Yeah.
So I'm involved with a group of people in Austin, and we're actually going to refund the police. We want to focus on at least every 1,000 people, that there's an officer for every 1,000. We want to increase training to at least 40 hours more annually after recruit school. So, and not just for regular in-service, but afterwards, but not in-service related to watching a movie and doing that, but actual hands-on stuff. Yes. And then in addition to that, where we're trying to push for is people that are in a position of power, legislatively or involved in the city council in Austin, that they actually have to attend a police academy, and also do ride-alongs, so they know the people that they're actually managing.
Yeah.
So that's coming
So
up.
important.
So I'd like to see that. I know that's in Austin, but I'd like to see the same push
Yeah.
in every city here that even thought about defunding police.
Across the
We
country.
want to make sure across the country that we focus on that, and let's refund the police.
Yep.
Because it's about our community.
Yep, it is. Well, hey, I want to thank you for being here, but I also want to actually introduce everybody to some of this coffee. He's got 3 different ones that he brought today. One is 10-8, and you can tell us a little bit about these if you want. One is Tactical Edge, and then Patrol Strong. So what's the difference in these?
So, okay, first off, these are made 100% in Texas. The beans are from from fair trade sourced well. So the 10-8, as you know, so I'm on duty. 10-8, it's breakfast strength, and usually I just the lighter taste has more caffeine too. So just letting you know. But I like the medium because it's a medium dark. That's Patrol Strong. It has a wonderful, robust flavor. And then lately, because this is a new edition, I think I'm addicted to this one here. It's the dark roast. It says smooth is fast and smooth is awesome, because what we do is for every roast, we actually each roast takes me about 6 months just to get it right. And I know some experts out there will say, hey, it needs to taste bitter just to be quality and so on. I don't like bitter, and I think you don't like bitter. I like taste. I think you like taste. I like smooth. I know you like smooth. So enjoy the coffee. I think coffee is there to be enjoyed, and so that's what we went with.
Right on. And the website they can go to get this?
TexasTrueBlue.com. And by the way, I think in the next month or two, we're going to come out. This is something great. 100% compostable K-Cups.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
so
nice.
we're going to put in there some little sticky thing with seeds from Texas, because we want a little bit of Texas with every bag to go out there.
I love that. I love it.
Well, hey, we know that the majority of you out there drink coffee, so I want to encourage you to go to the website, see if there's something you might want to purchase and try, because you're not only helping yourself, you're helping our men and women in blue when you drink this coffee.
Please give us a gift to your law enforcement agencies near you as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Purchase some, send it to them.
Yeah.
So, no, that's an awesome idea. So, all right. Any last thoughts, guys?
No, Erwin, I just want to say it was amazing having you here today.
Yeah.
Just super, super excited to have you.
No, it was nice to meet you,
No.
Jameson.
Jameson, it's okay. It's okay.
Appreciate you, bro.
Anytime.
So, all right. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Get out there, support your men and women in blue.
Hey, God bless.
Amen.
Bless.
Yeah.